You know, figuring out the notes that comprise a chord is pretty simple, really. There's a whole bunch of sites on the internet where you can learn about chord theory if you're not sure about it. This little gizmo here, which you can download from my site as a PDF, is a chord wheel. And once you assemble that, you can figure out the notes of chords, and you can also use it for transposing. And you don't need to charge it up either. But you know, the best way, I think, for getting your head around chords is to go straight to the concertina and figure them out from the scales, which you should know. Now at this point I should say it's probably a good idea if you use the pause button on these lessons quite a lot, just so that you've got a chance to get your fingers and your head around some of the things that I'm telling you about. Now I'm going to deal with 3 chords at the moment in the key of C, so C, F and G, and they're all major chords. So major chords comprise the 1st, the 3rd and the 5th notes of the scale. So playing a C scale, starting on the middle C, right down the bottom here on the left hand side, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or back to 1. So 1, 3, 5, 1. So that's your chord there, 1, 3, 5, and you can bring in the top note if you like. I usually play the first inversion of C when I'm playing the C chord. So I drop the low C down here and just play E, G and C. But of course it depends on the song that you want to use the chord for. So you can use different versions, different inversions in different ways for different songs. Of course you can go higher. Don't get up there very much. Yeah, so what about the G chord? Here's the G scale starting right down here on the bottom low G on the right hand side. Alright, so it's again 1, 3, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 1. 1, 3, 5. And once again I normally drop the low note and play the first inversion of the chord. So I'm starting on the B, I go to the D, and then to the G on the left hand side. And quite often I'll bring in the B above the G there. So I'm actually playing 4 notes for that G chord. Now this is interesting. That G note there is common to both the G chord and the C chord. So you can actually use it as a pivot or a reference point for moving between those 2 chords. Alright, what about the F chord? Here's your F scale here. So starting on the F, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So once again it's a little triangle. 1, 3, 5, 1. I usually play that little triangle for the F chord there. Sometimes I'll drop the A and the C and just play the F, and I'll pick up the A and the C over on the left hand side here, like that. Sometimes I'll drop the F over here and just play the A and the C and pick up the F over here. But of course you can play it up here too. And even higher, somewhere up there. The other thing to note there is that this C note of the F chord is common to F and of course the C chord. So you can use that C note as kind of a pivot between those two chords. And you know, it's the same for all of the different major chords. You just start with a scale and you work out the 1, 3, 5 notes. All right, try it with the D chord, with the D scale. You can do that yourselves. Now, you know, when you're playing the concertina and chords, I think it's probably good to be able to grab chords. You know, just like a guitarist will have a fistful of strings and then they'll quickly move to another chord, a completely different set of strings or a position of strings, notes. You've got to do the same with the concertina, I think. So, you know, you've got to be able to do like... And you'll be surprised how easy it is actually after a while of practice. Okay then, now in the next lesson we're going to start applying some of those techniques that I talked about in the introduction. We'll be starting to bring a song together using C, F and G.